Crescent City Steakhouse, a true neighborhood restaurant operated by the Vojkovic family since 1934. It is the oldest steakhouse in the city of New Orleans. Serving only hand-cut, prime-aged, corn-fed beef for over 80 years, Crescent City Steakhouse has become a dining destination for both die-hard locals and adventurous travelers who seek traditional, timeless New Orleans cuisine. Crescent City Steakhouse, 1001 North Broad, on the corner of St. Philip, in the heart of New Orleans.
Inspired by the culture and spirit of New Orleans, the contemporary abstract and figurative work of Tony Mose and the urban expressionist art and jewelry of Tracy Mose are now on display and available at Esom Art Galleries. Esom Art Galleries are artist-owned and are located in Uptown New Orleans on Magazine Street and on Royal Street in the heart of the French Quarter. Esom Art Galleries, inspiration from the soul of New Orleans. Max Durbus Realtors has been providing commercial and industrial real estate services to its clients for nearly 100 years. Since 1934, Max Durbus has been locally owned and operated throughout the greater New Orleans area, including the North Shore, Hammond, and even the Mississippi Gulf Coast and beyond. We focus on your commercial real estate needs so you don't have to. More information is available at 504-733-4555.
Hey, welcome to Primetime Sports. Hey, I'm your host, Scott Alexander, and this is one of the greatest times of year, isn't it? I mean, football season is now in full swing. It's starting to get a little chillier. When I mean chillier, it's not 100, it's 90, but it's just a good time of year because we love our local football. We love it so much, and we know what they do. They keep it interesting. Both the Saints and LSU came down to a last-second field goal with different results. Let's start with the Saints. We all know what happened. They were up 17-0. They went to Lambeau Field to play the Green Bay Packers, one of the hallowed grounds of the NFL, one of the great places to play. And boy, they looked the part. They had the punt return by Rashid Shaheed, and that was beautiful. I mean, he is a game changer. Carr was managing the game well. They weren't doing anything spectacular, but they were winning the game. And they had it seemed like a pretty decisive 17-0 lead. And then we all saw the injury. Derek Carr goes down. His shoulder gets smacked right into the ground. And all of a sudden you're thinking, oh, man, this might be something. And listen, Jameis Winston came in. And let me say something before we get hard on Jameis. He's not doing reps all week. He's not expected to play. I know you're supposed to always be ready. Now, if he plays this like he did this week against Tampa when they play, we might have issues. But I don't think Derek Carr is going to be out that long. At first, people were talking about 4 to 6 weeks. It might be as soon as 2 weeks now. But the bottom line is we need to rally behind Jameis Winston or Taysom Hill, whoever they decide to put in, and get W's. That's all you need. They get their second conference opponent this Sunday in the Dome. That's going to be Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who were 2-0, by the way, until they lost last night in their Monday Night Football game. Also, every team in the division lost, so that's a plus. The Atlanta Falcons are better than I thought they were. They're not going to be great, but they're going to be good and competitive. But they're 2-1 now after they lost to Detroit, and we saw Carolina get demoralized in their game on Sunday night. So here, moving forward here, the Saints still have a great shot to do what they need to do and go forward, win the division, and hopefully make some hay in the playoffs because they're going to get better and better because Alvin Kamara comes back this week, and that's a game changer. He will help Jameis or Derek Carr, whoever. The offensive line's playing poorly, but it'll be better. Hey, the LSU Tigers, on the other hand, they came off of a huge win against Mississippi State on the road. They blew them out. They were 17.5-point favorites. I told everybody, I said, do not take the Tigers. I didn't think they would lose the game, but I had a feeling it would be like this. And they played for the Golden Boot, as you see there. Jaden Daniels has been a game changer. And this team, you know, the defense is taking their lumps. Arkansas came in loose and confident, and they gave LSU a game, and it came down to a final field goal by Ramos, and he kicked it, and they won the game. It was a much shorter kick than the one Blake Grupe missed in the Packers game. But the bottom line is the Tigers are still undefeated in the SEC, now 2-0, 3-1 overall. And they look fine. They got a huge game at Ole Miss this week. Ole Miss is a very good team. They're getting back a receiver, Zachary Franklin, who hasn't played all year except for a little bit this past game. He's been injured, but he came from University of Texas San Antonio, and that is a guy they need to keep their eye on because they have a great receiving core there, an experienced quarterback. It's going to be a tough game, 5 o'clock. On Saturday evening. Okay, that's in Oxford. Let's move on to Tulane because I love what Tulane's doing, and thank goodness Michael Pratt is back. Hey, Kai Horton played well, okay, but Michael Pratt is your star. Let me say this. They're still getting love across the country. I watched ESPN's Game Day, and Kirk Herbstreit said, listen, who's the top non-Power 5 conference team? And Fresno State was getting tossed around, and Herbstreit stopped and said, no, with Michael Pratt's playing, Tulane is the best in the nation in the non-Power 5 conference. They call it Group of 5. And listen, they took care of business against Nichols. They won 36-7. Michael Pratt, 18 of 23, 2 touchdowns passing, 1 rushing. So in 2 games, he's 32 of 38, almost 500 yards. He's passed for 6 touchdowns. He's run for another. This guy is great. And they will play UAB this Saturday, 11 a.m. at Ullman. And how about the Pelicans? They're starting training camp 1 week from today. Can you believe it? It's all going to depend on Zion and Brandon's health. Let's look forward to that. We're going to do a lot of Pelican stuff going forward. And how about art for art's sake, everyone? This is a great, great event, and it's in 11 days from now. It's going to be Saturday, October 3rd, Magazine Street. Get out there and support our people, the Mose couple. I love them. Esam Art Gallery. Get on out there. Hey, we got a great show. Doug Mouton's next. He's going to tell you all about the Saints, the Tigers, and the Tulane Green Wave next right here on Primetime Sports.
Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding.
Hey, welcome back to Primetime Sports. And enough of all the quarterbacks I've had. I've loved them. We've had, obviously, Rod Connis, and in last week we had our man Josh Booty in live. I love Josh. And we had Herb Tyler, and I keep going on and on. Terrence Jones from Tulane. And Rohan Davey, but now we're going to get to the nuts and bolts. This is my favorite, one of my favorite all-time people to come on this show to talk about the things you love. This New Orleans Saints, the Tulane Green Wave, of course the LSU Tigers, and we might even touch on the Pels since they start training camp. But let's get started right now. Doug Mouton from WLAE-TV, 4th Down and 4, all the great stuff they do, and I love his Monday nights. I told somebody last night, that thing you do on Monday with the telestrip, and you get up there and you're all excited. It's awesome. Welcome back, Doug.
Yeah, thank you, Scott. I'm digging the energy.
The 4 things you bring up, and I always steal half of them on my show the next day. That's why I watch it. Talk about it.
Yeah, well, look, you talk about the ones from this week?
This week or in general, man.
Well, look, we came up with this idea a few years ago.
Yeah.
There's a lot of rules to what you can put online. We could do stuff with video on TV that we can't do in any digital platform. So my boss, Keith Espros, and he said, look, I want you to do a commentary the way Henderson used to do it, but I want you to do something your way, and I want you to do it for something that we can use on digital platforms. So all of a sudden, I've got to not use any video. You cannot put video on WLAE-TV.com. You can put it up for 24 hours, but they don't want something you have to take down.
Right.
So we have the touch screen. We get access to the AP photo. AP shoots the games.
Brilliant.
You get a lot of photos. Look, I've always been a numbers guy.
Yes.
I've always I love the modern analytics of all sports. It's kind of started with baseball, but now it's everywhere.
Yes.
So it sort of fit what I did. It's something I can. But the touchscreen we have is so old. It's like a 20-year-old touchscreen.
But you can't
it's like
tell.
No. You can tell in the sense that now there's clickers where you can advance. We don't hit. Ours is not clicker compatible.
Well, I don't like
I have to actually physically hit the.
That's part of it. I want to explain what we're talking about. He gets up on the Monday night show because you got 4th Down and 4, and that's beautiful.
Right.
We know what that's all about. But on Monday,
it's called 4 Takeaways. Because we're Channel 4. Right.
Oh, I didn't get that. Oh, I get it. 4 takeaways. Okay, everything's 4. 4th Down and 4.
Right, because we're Channel 4, right.
But the thing is, he gets up, and your enthusiasm is what sells it. And I'm glad you don't have a clicker, because you get up there and you go, yeah, look at that one.
Well, here's the secret. Here's the secret. it's not live. And sometimes I miss the screen and we do it again. We tape it usually about 9 o'clock and I can be enthusiastic because I'm going so fast, because if I mess up, it's okay, and we'll start again. So usually what you're seeing is like the third take.
Well, here's the funny thing, you just said that, because we are not live, obviously, either, but we are day of show.
Right.
And
it's like live.
But we act like we're live. Live to tape, we call it in the business.
We call that like live, right.
But I don't stop. I screw up, it's like, hey,
oh,
it's live.
No. When I screw, but because with that thing, if I screw it up, here's the problem. I'm already using a lot of time.
Right.
Like the one I did Monday night was 3:50. That's a long time. So when you mess up, that's just going to add time.
Right.
I can't go 4:15 or 4:30. And the reason I'm going so fast is because I'm trying to get it all in within a reasonable amount of time.
I'm going to say something that I've always thought about, because you guys have the benefit of post-production. Because if somebody's talking about something, you can cover it.
Yeah, but I can't use video when I do that. And when I do that, it has to be in one take.
I'm talking about on 4th down and 4.
Oh, God, yeah.
Whereas this show, I can't compete with y'all because we're just doing what we got. I think about the night before. We might get this. I might have it. If we don't have it,
right.
But let's talk about the New Orleans Saints.
Sure.
They're this close from being 3-0.
Yeah.
And coming back with Kamara next week. And then all of a sudden, I got so many calls from people. I was flying. I got back. I was watching the game on the plane, got back second half, watched the end, and I had friends that were living in California. They're like, wait, they lost?
Yeah.
It was 17-0 when I left.
Yeah. Well, look,
you were there.
The whole game was closer than the 17-0 looked like. We're sitting in front of the Saints, Jeff Ireland and Mickey Loomis, and believe me, it's 17-0 heading into the fourth quarter, and they looked as worried as they would ever look. Green Bay's
been around for 100 years. They've only come back once from 17-0.
I get that, but this game was closer than it looked like all the way through. Look, the Saints' big problem right now is the offensive line.
Right.
They're having an incredibly hard time protecting the quarterback.
Which was number 2 on your list of takeaways.
It was, and only because I wanted to leave number 1, because this is the reality of this season, is that you've got a terrific defense who I still think is top 5 in the NFL.
Yeah, no doubt.
They still held Jordan Love way below his passer rating on the season. They still gave up below the NFL average in points in this game. They did not have a good fourth quarter, though, and you've got an offense that's underperforming at a huge level because the offensive line.
Well, with Debo being out, you knew that kid was going to get picked on. 27.
And you did, and you knew they were going to get some points. The offense had to produce. Look, they had 10 points all game on offense. Remember, they had the punt return was one of the touchdowns. Now, they should have had 13. They should have gotten the 46-yard field goal at the end. But still, you score 13 points. You can't expect to be winning a lot of games. Saints have played 3 games total, decided by a grand total of 5 points.
Right.
And that's what happens when you have a great defense and an underperforming offense. And the problem on the offensive line is, I don't know how you fix it, because it's not one guy. Look, they played a ton of 6 offensive linemen. Landon Young at tight end was common in this game, and they're trying to help. But the problem is, Ryan Ramczyk's getting beat, and Eric McCoy's getting beat.
That surprises me. These are the guys that
that's exactly what I'm saying. McCoy got beat. Ramczyk's getting beat. You had a holding call on Penning. You had a holding call on Hurst. They had problems across the board.
Ramczyk just doesn't look as big as he used to be.
Look, Ramczyk's got a knee problem that's not going to get better, and he's not as quick as he was. That's certainly what it appears right now, and it's not going to get better. So you got to figure out ways to help Ramczyk, and you got to figure out ways to help Penning. And you're getting beat on the inside. And so you got a lot to fix on that offensive line. Now, I will say there's ways to disguise it. The spread offense was invented because smaller schools couldn't compete with bigger schools along the lines, so they came up with this offense to get the ball outside, and the Saints are going to have to figure out a way to get the ball out quicker and out into space quicker and mask the offensive line problems.
I had Josh Booty here last week. He had that kind of offensive evangel. Get him down there and coach him up.
Look, it works at so many high schools. It evens the playing field in so many ways, because you can take an offensive and defensive line advantage or disadvantage out of the game if you can get the ball quickly enough out, onto the away from the hashes.
Let me talk positive, because the receiving core. I love what this is becoming.
I do too.
And let's talk about that, because you got 3 very different type of receivers.
I love the mix.
And talk about it.
Yeah, the mix is great. You got Rashid Shaheed as the home run hitter. That's who he has to be. And in each game this year, he's hit a home run.
One big play.
And that's all he needs. If he makes 2 plays a game, he's done his job.
He's a game
He caught
changer.
0 passes, but he changed the game on a punt return. Chris Olave is an elite receiver now.
My goodness, he's so much better than I even thought. now I'm realizing why we traded up.
Yeah.
This guy is special.
He is special. He put on some bulk in the offseason.
Yeah.
Not a lot, but 5 or 10 pounds of muscle, so he's a little bit bigger. So smart. His instincts are so good.
Yeah.
I love all the things that Olave does. His instincts on ad-lib plays, watch him. He's the guy getting open and making himself seen. But his instincts running after the catch. He knows when to get down, when to get out of bounds, when to make a cut for extra yards. And then Mike Thomas is not the guy from 2019 or 2018.
But he was the best player in the league at that point.
Correct.
Yeah.
He's become a solid, big body, third down guy. He's getting catches on the slant on third down that you can't stop him.
Yeah.
The three of them have been terrific. If you can get a little bit better on the offensive line, figure out something, this team can be really good. If the offensive line continues to have problems, you can be good, but you're going to play in a lot of close games. And look, you play 1-point games, you're going to lose some, period. You're not going to go 17-0 winning 1-point games. So they won 2 close games, they lost 1. The odds are still pretty good right now, and that's with an offensive line grossly underperforming.
All right, I want your opinion on Lambeau for a couple reasons. My first time in, I went as a fan. I have a lot of rich friends in Atlanta, and I was doing a game at Florida with Brando back when we were doing SEC back in the day. And this was a Sunday night game against the Vikings. And I'm like flying back to Atlanta. I get a call from a friend. They're all partying up in Green Bay. And Vikings are a big rival. And so he's like, hey, dude, when you land Atlanta, I got you a ticket to Green Bay. And they got me. I went straight there, and it was wild. I mean, the pregame, they're just like, it's like a frat party. Everybody's just slugging beers. And then I went again in preseason with Brando. This is the year when Brando was working with Archie Manning and Ron Jaworski that one year in 2004 preseason. And I was on the field for the first time before the game. And then I went again doing a Fox game with Brando. But Lambeau's got this special aura, and I want you as a person that's been there a few times to describe it to people.
First of all, it's a beautiful experience. And if you care about American football and you have the means to make a road trip now and then, go to Lambeau Field one time for a Saints game. It is unlike any state. First of all, it's less corporate than any NFL stadium. So less corporate.
I love that.
It's in a small city, which obviously no NFL team is, so there's an infrastructure around the stadium of these Packer bars
and
this outdoor experience that's very college-like, but also bigger than college. There's bands playing literally across the street from the stadium. It's a small. We went to LA, and that billion-dollar stadium is gorgeous. But you walk outside that stadium and there's nothing. You're in the parking lot.
Or like Jerry's World too.
Jerry's World. You go to the stadium, you do your experience, and you leave. Green Bay, we're leaving the game. Okay, it's a noon game, so we turn a lot of material for our newscast and for Fourth Down on 4. And so we're leaving about 9 p.m. And there are not a few. I'm talking like dozens of people walking back to their cars in the parking lot because they've been across the street drinking since the game ended at 3. And now at 9, it's time to go home. But that's the atmosphere around that stadium is not just in the stadium, but around the stadium. And then in the stadium, the Saints were up 17-0 in the fourth quarter. Not one person is booing, and not one person has left. And as soon as Green Bay started making any kind of a comeback, that place just lit fire.
Felt it coming.
A lot like the Superdome. And we've seen the Superdome change games. This game, the way the mojo got going in the fourth quarter, and Dennis Allen talked about it afterwards, he could feel the momentum, and they couldn't stop it. That's the way the Superdome gets. That place lit fire. It's the home opener. It's the first game of Jordan Love, and all of a sudden they smell a shot at winning this game. That place went nuts. And look, obviously Saints fans, and me too, would have loved to see the Saints win it. But the way that place came alive, it is a palace to American football unlike any other. And if you have a chance to go there, you should.
What I love
it's amazing.
Is when Jimmy Graham got that touchdown. He only had 3 touchdowns in his whole career with the Packers. This was at least 2 or 3 years, whatever it was. But he jumps in there, and they're even patting him on the back. They're like, Jimmy. And then one guy's like, get out. But they're so nice. They love everybody.
Look, that's the other thing about Wisconsin. Nice. There is that upper Midwest niceness.
But they're like New Orleans people. They want you to have the best time up there.
So hospitable and so nice. It's New Orleans at its best, and I think we do that well. They definitely. I don't really know New Orleans as well because I'm part of, you know what I mean? Like I'm not coming in as an outsider, but going there as an outsider, it's so inviting and so like they take you in like a hug. And if your team would win, they'd be like, hey, great game, guy. You're like, you know, there's no animosity. Like nobody's, you know, flipping the bird at the opponent. It's a beautiful place to see a ball. I saw LSU play Wisconsin there, which was awesome. And I've seen the Saints play, I think, 4 times there now.
Probably less. That was Les Miles's. Right,
it really was.
It was that.
It really was.
And it was over.
Yeah, he lost with a much more talented team.
Which you probably don't
know. And that's also when they discovered Dave Aranda.
Right. What you probably don't know is that when I was an agent, Wisconsin was my fertile ground. Like my first big client. So I went 60 times to Madison.
Oh, did you really?
And my client was from Appleton, which is Brian Butch, who's first team All-American.
We drove through Appleton on the way to the game.
Right there. So I know that area very well, and I love them. But back to the Saints, the defense is the calling card right now.
Defense is top 5, no doubt, and they're getting great play up front. Yeah, look, you knew there were going to be times when they struggled without Marcus May and Paulson Adebo.
Yes.
But full strength, they're great. You know, Pete Werner and Demario Davis, I think, are the best tandem of linebackers in the NFL. If they're not the best, they're top 3.
Right.
I think it's going to be a top 5 defense.
Right.
I think they're going to hold opponents. The NFL average for points scored in a game is 22.7, right? So if you can have an average offense scoring 22.7, right now the Saints would be 3-0. And I think the Saints will hold their opponents under 22.7. I'd say right now, in 17 games, I bet at least 13 or 14 of them, they'll hold their opponents under 20. So if you could just be average offensively, and I do think Kamara helps, because you talk about getting on edges, he is the best route-running running back in the NFL. He can get out quick, he can make choice routes, the kind of things he can do. You don't need 4 seconds of protection. You're not going to run the Justin Jefferson long crossing routes. Kamara can do stuff quick and start getting the ball out.
Stuff with the ball when with the offensive line's having problems, he can make them look better.
He can make them look better.
Hey,
I agree.
real quick, if you would have said before the season 2-1,
I'd take
Kamara, you would have taken
Correct.
it. Okay, correct. That's where we are. How long? I know it's all speculative right now. It's only Tuesday, right after the injury. But how long are we looking at for Derek Carr to be missing?
You know, it's funny. I called my son's orthopedic doctor to talk to him about it. He said really a lot of the same things that Dennis Allen said. It is a pain threshold thing. You don't know how fully mobile the shoulder is going to be. It's a sprain. We don't know right now if it's a grade 1 or a grade 2, but it's a lower grade sprain. But look, it's a serious injury on a throwing shoulder of a quarterback, right? I mean, this is his dominant arm. So that's if this was a linebacker or a different position, you might be more apt to say he could be ready, and it's just a pain threshold. This is his throwing shoulder, so I don't know how it.
Well, exactly knowing he's going to start now.
I think so. Look, I don't think it's going to be more than a week or 2.
Right.
Like I think there's and Derek Carr's always had the reputation of a guy who heals fast. So whatever the average is, he's going to be a little quicker than that. I would say I don't expect him to play against Tampa this week. And this is a pure guess right now. But I don't expect him to miss more than a game or 2 before he comes back.
Can I say something about Derek Carr? Because watching the Raiders game on Sunday night made me realize that I'm glad we didn't go for Jimmy G. And I'm not against Jimmy G. The guy's gotten to the Super Bowl, but it made me realize Carr's the better guy.
Yeah,
I don't know what the Raiders were thinking.
Yeah, I've never been huge on Jimmy G. I do like Derek Carr a lot more. And look, the Derek Carr you've seen is Derek Carr. In 9 years in the NFL, he's never been an elite NFL quarterback by passer rating. He's been his best 3 years. He was 8th, 9th, and 10th. He's never been top 7, but also 6 of his 9 years, he's been in the bottom half of NFL quarterbacks. He is inclined to make a mistake, to miss a DB and throw an interception. But his positives, he can get the ball out very fast, which he's going to have to start doing now with the offensive line. And he throws a beautiful deep ball, which he's always done. And that fits into Shaheed and Olave and what they do well. I think the Saints can be very successful with Derek Carr. But the problem is all of us in New Orleans have been conditioned to one of the great quarterbacks in NFL. We have to dial it back and say we can't expect Drew Brees' performance. The first year Drew Brees was on, I remember every one of my friends texting me during the games, oh my God, he's holding the ball too long. It's like, I get that, because every quarterback who has ever played holds the ball longer than Drew Brees. We're conditioned to Drew Brees for so many years. Now it's been a couple of years, so we're starting to uncondition. I think the Saints can win under Derek Carr, especially with this defense. it's a shame he went out when he did, because he had just put together his best drive of the year, where he made a couple of really nice quarterback plays, and now he's going to be out a little bit. But you know what? It's a long season.
It is.
If he's out a couple of weeks, and that lets him study what he did right and what he did wrong and take a step back, maybe he can come back a better quarterback.
Speaking of Drew Brees, I was one of the 2 games. I had USC and Arizona State, but the night before I had Purdue, and I was on campus the day before. They still cherish him.
Yeah,
And they've had Bob Greasy, Lynn Dawson.
of
they've
course.
had some greats, but Drew Brees gets the big picture.
And he should.
And he is a superstar at Purdue, just like he is here.
And all of us in New Orleans understand why. Yeah, he is the standard, but he's also the unreachable standard.
Yeah.
Yeah, for us to expect Derek Carr to be
It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
So moving forward, let's talk a little bit about LSU, because you know we all know what happened in the second half of the Florida State game. It was ugly. I remember everybody's jumping off the bridge. I'm like, dude, they can still get where they want. They had to win or lose this game. You had to win the rest of them regardless, because you can't win the SEC without it. So now, after seeing a couple SEC games, one close and one a blowout, what's your take on this team going forward? They have Ole Miss this weekend, and going forward, the schedule gets tougher and tougher.
Yeah, look, Ole Miss was the defining game of last year, if you remember. Ole Miss was probably even a little better last year than they are this year, and
way better. I thought they were 6th in the country.
Yeah, right. But I'm just talking about evaluating the team.
Right.
Their quarterback's a year older and a year smarter now. But yeah, Ole Miss was riding high, and this was the year. This was the game that LSU made the jump. Look, I think we're all adjusting to the transfer portal, and that includes coaches and people watching football. What you're not seeing as much is a team that's fully ready in week 1. Florida State was more ready than LSU because they had a quarterback coming back and they had more of the team coming back.
Right.
But you're rebuilding so much of your team every year that it takes a few weeks for the coaching staff.
This is a 6th-year quarterback they have. I mean, like, I know James. So this guy was ready for a secondary that was depleted.
No question. And they were. And Arkansas is a little better than I think people think, and I really like their coach. I think Sam Pittman's done a really nice job, and I think he has the right approach at Arkansas. But I think what we're seeing, that's what I said about the Saints. We're starting to see who you are. Like, we're starting to see who LSU is. And this offense, which now seems to be hitting a stride, can be an elite offense in college football, but we're seeing the liability on defense in the secondary, and then you're trying to overcompensate for that.
It's kind of the opposite of the Saints.
It's definitely the opposite of the Saints. And so LSU is going to be in some shootouts. But right about now last year is when we started seeing wholesale improvements in LSU.
Correct.
And I'm not saying that's coming. What I'm saying is that might be coming. Because we saw it out of Brian Kelly and his staff last year. I'm sort of hoping we're seeing a leap forward. I think we have seen a leap forward offensively. We haven't quite seen it yet defensively, although Arkansas was very ready for this game with a veteran quarterback. Ole Miss has a veteran quarterback, too. I think this one might be a similar kind of
Jackson Dart, I've done many of his games with USC. This guy's good, and their backup's good, too, Spencer Sand. But you got Florida, who's improving.
And Florida's getting better,
They are better, and obviously Alabama coming up. So do you think they can go undefeated, possibly?
Yeah, I think it's possible, but to do that, they're going to have to be better than they've been so far. The thing is, they took the same arc last year, and I'm hoping the arc we saw last year will translate into this year. If they don't make significant improvements on defense, they're going to lose a couple of games. Just like the Saints, if you get into all 1-point games, you're not going to win them all. You're just not. You're going to give up a touchdown at the end and lose some if they're all that close.
Neighbors has put himself in the elite category as a receiver, and then you have the second guy, Thomas. I mean, these two now are weapons I don't think you completely had last year either going forward.
And I think Logan Diggs is the X factor at running back, the kid from Rummel coming back from Notre Dame. I think he is special as a runner, and he helps him in a big way. And the combination of he and John Emery, I think, can be a really good combination. I think LSU has found stuff offensively. But they got to get better defensively, and I think obviously this week we thought this would be a CBS game because I think this is a huge game nationally, LSU and Ole Miss, because one of them is going to take a step forward and one of them is going to take a step back. CBS opted not to take this one.
I just like night games, man.
It's a 5 o'clock ESPN. We'd rather the CBS games because it's on Channel 4.
Right. Oh, right. I forgot. WWL. What am I talking to?
Yes, of course. But look, it's a 5 o'clock game. It'll get a huge national audience. I think this one could be really fun. And it's really interesting because I think this one determines maybe how good LSU can be.
All right. We got to talk about it, Tulane.
Yeah.
Let me tell you this. Michael Pratt's back. I was honestly worried that Willie was being coy.
Me
that
too.
He might be out for a long time.
Me too.
And this refresher, he's got 6 touchdowns in the 2 games he's played, 32 for 38.
Yeah, but he has got to learn how to dial back the chance taking with himself physically. Look, it's the same Josh Allen.
The South Alabama game was so frustrating because it's not necessary.
It's not necessary. You have to. And look, he plays with that kind of moxie, and it's a great thing. But he's got to understand his value to the team. And when you're up 2 touchdowns, stop running.
Is he the best quarterback Tulane's ever had?
Hey, he's in the conversation.
No question, right?
No question he's in the conversation.
I mean, you're talking about Sean King, Steve Foley.
I don't know if he's the best
Ramsey.
NFL prospect because they've had a couple of first-round draft picks, obviously. But at Tulane, I think he has a great – I think this postseason will determine that. He has absolutely a chance to go down as Tulane's greatest quarterback ever.
Offense to the first-rounders, Ramsey and Lussman. I think his leadership ability.
He's a better college quarterback than either one of them.
I think he's such a leader. I think he's going to be an asset to any NFL team, whether he plays on the field or he's holding a clipboard.
I think he's an NFL quarterback. Look, here's the thing about where Tulane stands right now. Look, you like the fact that the conference – Tulane is the favorite in the conference and has a great shot to win it. The problem is the conference is not as good as it was last year, and that will not help Tulane if Tulane runs the table in the conference when it comes to bowl time. It becomes a little bit harder because you won't have the quality wins you had last year. I think this Tulane team can be as good as last year's Tulane's team, but they won't play as hard a schedule by the time it's done. And their conference won't help them the way Cincinnati and UCF helped them last year. I think the hardest game in conference is in 3 weeks at Memphis on a Friday night. Tulane plays UAB, a week off, and then Memphis.
30 seconds, Pelicans outlook for you, because you know the talent's there, but everybody says if they can stay healthy, but
it's not if they can stay healthy. If Zion stays healthy, they can be a top 4 team in the West. If Zion doesn't stay healthy, no matter what anyone else does, I think they're the 8th or 9th or 10th seed, and it's another season like we've seen the last 2. This season 100% depends on Zion Williamson's ability to play.
So, Doug, I love when you go to Shays de la Shays and you send me a picture because
it's awesome.
No, I love it. We have a new sponsor, Mr. John's Steakhouse as well. Desi Vega, Archie Rodenkirk. I love these people. Yeah. So, because I wanted to give you this one, but I'm also going to give you the Shays de la Shays because your wife loves it so much.
Shays de la Shays is awesome.
That's 2 there, but they add up to 1. Yeah. All right, so, and then we have a new color because I need you to get the new colors. This is Heather Chambray.
Heather Chambray has always been one of my favorite colors.
I know, isn't it? I mean, since I was a tot.
Heather Chambray has been one of my things.
When you had the 64 crayons.
Yes, I'm looking for Heather Chambray.
I know, it's a beautiful color. And then Quinn,
Chambray is with an S or a C?
It's a C.
Of course it is.
It's a C.
I was testing you.
Now, come on.
Heather Chambray.
Shays is with a C too, not an S.
No, I knew that. Yes.
All right, and this is for your son, Quinn.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate it.
And we love you, Doug.
Yeah, Scott,
we appreciate you.
Yeah, it was fun.
All right, babe. Hey, that's Doug Mouton. We're going to talk some First Tee golf next, but before that, there's a big event coming up in a week and a half on Magazine Street, on Julia Street. You know White Linen in August. This is Art for Art's Sake on Magazine Street. It's wonderful. I have a lot of friends that have shops down there. One of our sponsors is Esam Art Gallery. They're a big part of the show. I love them. That's Tony and Tracy Mose that own that. That's in the I think that's around the 39 or 4,000 block of Magazine. But also a couple new sponsors. We have also Elysian, right there by Emily Morrison, and of course Sotra, which is right by Task, by the way. They're both in the same place, 3900 block, but right by Task Performance. So get on down and enjoy Art for Art's Sake. It's great. And we're going to have a couple people on the show next week talking all about that. But next we got Jim Fisher, and he's going to introduce us to the new executive director of First Tee coming up next right here on Primetime Sports.
Rock and roll will never die. It's old New Orleans, my oh my. Come on, baby, let's go rock and roll at the city lane. All night, let's roll, let's rock and roll. Baby, do the rock and roll. At the mid-city lanes, the home of rock and roll.
Fall in love with autumn with PJ's new seasonal lattes. Our pumpkin latte brings you all the flavors of a pumpkin pie with hints of cinnamon and nutmeg, like your favorite holiday dessert in a cup. And our s'mores latte with flavors of toasted marshmallows, warm milk chocolate, and graham cracker cinnamon is sure to bring back campfire memories. The PJ's fall seasonal lattes, Available at your local PJs only for a limited time.
Hey, don't forget my pimento cheese. Of course.
It's okay, I'll take it from here.
Hey, you forgot your receipt!
For the love of palmetto cheese.
Hey, welcome back to Primetime Sports. I want to thank Doug Mouton for giving us an update. All the teams we love. And now we're going to go to a sport many of us play. If you're like me, not well, but we love the sport. It's golf. And this is better than golf because it's helping our youth here in New Orleans and across the country. First tee of Greater New Orleans. Last year I had Jim Fisher around this time to talk about a big event they have coming up on October 10th. It's a big tournament that they're going to help kids, and we're going to raise some money there as well. And there's also something for the ladies in the following month. We'll get to that in a second. I brought back Jim Fisher and also brought with him the executive director of First Tee, Perry Faulkner. But welcome back, my friend.
Hey, Scott. Good
Jim,
to see you, man.
Good to see you, Perry. Great to meet you, buddy.
Yeah, you too. Thanks for having us.
Well, let's get to the beginning of this. I want to remind people what this is about. It's empowering kids, and I love the new catchphrase, and I'm going to let you say it, what this is about, and I love it. It's 2 words, and it means everything to me.
Building game changers.
Meaning building game changers among our youth, right?
Absolutely. All of our youth, 5 to 18 years old, when they go through the program, they leave the program better citizens, better people, and we hope that they will impact the rest of the world.
Okay, let's remind people, Jim, about what exactly this does for the children, how they get involved, and how they grow as a result of it.
So what First Tee does is it takes the game of golf, and golf has some intrinsic things in it that are different than other sports, right? There's no trash talking in golf, not really. Golf is a game where you keep your own score, so you have to be honest.
Yeah, I'm with my friends.
Well, okay, ideally there's no trash talking.
Right. It's a gentleman's game.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but there are things like being honest, calling penalties on yourself, being a gentle person, gentlewoman, gentleman, whatever you want to say, and those are unique to golf more than any other sport.
I would agree with that. Yes.
So when First Tee is out coaching kids, like when I'm out on Saturdays at City Park coaching children, not only are we saying, okay, well, here's how you swing a golf club, but here's how you learn how to cool down. Here's how you learn how to grow through adversity. Here's how you learn about being honest, and not only at the golf course, but being honest at home and being honest at school and being a better citizen and kind of growing up with grit and through challenge.
Right.
So that's what makes First Tee as a youth sports program unique. We're serving kids not only to make them better athletes, but we're really trying to focus on making them better people through the game of golf.
Okay, so this is you're about to celebrate your 2-decade anniversary, 20 years, right before Katrina this started. Now, this started nationwide 20 years ago, or the New Orleans part of it?
So First Tee as a whole organization has been around for about 27 years.
Okay.
It was founded in conjunction with the PGA Tour and a couple of national partners, Shell Oil being one of them.
Nice.
And the idea was that they were going to get underrepresented youth involved in the game of golf and really start to grow the game. And then the program really transformed into something really magical, which was kids were actually learning life skills through the game, opening doors for career opportunities, college, scholarships, all of that. And now the program is in 150 chapters in the United States, and we have about 25 worldwide, as far as Australia, South Africa, and it continues to grow. 2 years ago, First Tee celebrated its 25th anniversary, and with that, 10 million kids served internationally.
Are you kidding me? By the way, 2 years ago also marks when y'all became officially part of the PGA, correct?
Correct, yes. So the PGA adopted us as their official junior foundation. So with that, a lot of resources from the PGA Tour. Really what's opened up are our national participant opportunities.
Right.
If anyone watches the Golf Channel, actually just happened in September at the Pebble Beach, our kids get to play alongside Champions Tour players in an actual Champions Tour event. So Champions Tour, for those who aren't familiar, those are the older guys that have moved on from the PGA Tour, and the kids actually get to play alongside them under the behind the ropes there.
That's very cool.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic, and they get some really great sound bites out there of the kids out there. We've had participants 4 of the last 5 years go on out there, and it's a once in a lifetime opportunity.
See, I love shows like this that we can teach others and get them involved, right? Because I had the guys from 18th Ward on right towards the end of the Pelican season. I remember they do a great job as well. Talk about how the kids can get involved, and the parents that are looking at this show right now saying, man, this seems like something cool. I want to get my kids involved, not only to learn the sport of golf, but to become better people.
So First Tee programs year-round. I would say that we're probably programming, 40 out of 52 weeks a year here in the New Orleans area.
Right.
Obviously, we build a lot around the fall, 10-week programs. We do a 10-week program in the spring, and then we have smaller 4-week blocks in the winter, and then another 8-week block in the summer for kids.
Okay.
We're at, 13 different locations at this point in the greater New Orleans area.
Wow.
7 parishes.
Right now, we're halfway through our fall session. We're serving over 400 kids this fall session.
And when you say a fall session, how many days are they involved? Is it
So
once a
it's
week?
once a week for 1 hour. So if you're a parent, you're thinking,
Perfect.
I think my kid might like golf, but I don't know.
Right.
The entry level is easy. You don't need clubs, you don't need shoes, you don't need special anything.
Nice.
You
Nice.
sign up for one of the classes before a session would start, and it's once a week for 1 hour.
Okay.
And that's it. You bring your kid, you go away for an hour, you come back, you pick them up, and hopefully we've imparted some good things to them.
Good for y'all. Hey, real quick, about this event coming up. I mean, how many, okay, it's October the 10th, right?
Correct.
Saturday at Bayou Oaks. We have a graphic right here. First Tee Golf Classic presented by Walmart. They're doing great things, by the way, Walmart right now. I've noticed they're sponsoring a lot of stuff on Monday Night Football as well. But explain what this event is, how people can get involved in this particular one, and what it showcases.
Absolutely. So this event is our largest fundraiser of the year, and naturally, being a golf organization, it takes place on the golf course there. So a lot of local businesses, a lot of terrific restaurants out there. Really great time. It's a 4-man scramble format there. We're looking to have a packed house out there. We still have a few spots open there, and we're still accepting applications for food vendors, anyone else that wants to get involved. But really, it's a celebration of all of our donors, everything that we do throughout the year, and it's a really great way to also see some of the participants who are impacted by this program. We'll have them out there
very cool.
hitting some shots, and it's really great for the golfers to be able to,
Well, let's
see
give
them
some
in
love
person.
to some of the people that are helping, because I feel we should, because they're helping such a good cause. I know Mike Rodriguez was big on the Bayou Oaks. That's a great course out there at City Park. But who are some of the restaurants that you got right now, and who else would you? What kind of restaurants are you looking for? What kind of vendors are you looking for?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have quite a few that have participated in the past. Drago's, Galatoire's, Acme Oyster House has been a
that's Mike
huge,
Rodriguez.
Yes, Mike in the Bayou District there. And then we also have, Walmart brings out a whole bunch of vendors. Coca-Cola has been a really terrific partner this year, and anyone who's been out to any of the Coca-Cola stores here in the area will actually see First Tee displays in their local stores there, advertising the tournament and our
That's
program.
very cool.
And they have brought a lot of vendors to the tournament, and obviously a lot of money to the cause.
Do you deal with the local people at Coke over there and on Citrus?
Yes, fantastic.
They're
people.
great. They're great. Rocky, all that group is awesome.
Yes.
As far as this event, how long have you been involved? No, you've been in town for 15 years. Have you been? How long have you been with First Tee?
I've been involved with First Tee for the last 6 years, and I got involved. Funny enough, 6 years ago, Perry was our program director. He was our lead coach.
Okay.
And he got up at the end of the year awards, and he said, "Hey, we're always looking for coaches and volunteers." My son at the program, who was I think 11 at the time, was in it, and I said, it would be cool if I could coach my son. So I reached out to Perry.
Right.
Reached out to the old executive director and said, hey, I'm interested in helping, which turned into, hey, you're a good coach, we'd like you to do more, which turned into a full-time opportunity. And now I've been working with the organization for the last 5 years. My son, who just got into Ole Miss, by the way.
Oh, congratulations.
And is a senior in high
big game
school.
This weekend?
Yep.
Okay.
Is now obviously not in the program anymore, but my daughter, who is 8 years old, I'll actually be later this afternoon coaching her at her school doing an outreach event this afternoon. So it's kind of become one of those things where I never thought it was going to be more than an hour or two once a week. And now, obviously, I've been very involved in the organization for the last 5 years.
So, okay, you piqued my interest because we mentioned how kids can get involved. I know there are people out there that want to help that golf. Maybe they can be coaches. How does that work?
That's actually pretty easy. If somebody is interested in helping as a volunteer or as a coach, even if you just know people in the community that you think might want to help grow the game and kind of grow what First Tee's mission is, you just reach out to either Perry or myself, and we would put you through training. We would teach you what you need to. You don't even have to necessarily.
Is that website? Is that
yeah, just firstteenola.org.
Firstteenola.org. Keep that in mind.
And what's interesting about being a coach is, so a lot of people get turned off of coaching because they think it's just, well, you've got to be a really good golfer to coach golf.
Right. No.
And far from it. What we're really teaching kids in the training.
How about that?
Yeah, we're teaching them how to talk to kids in a way that they feel like it's safe to fail.
Yes,
right?
yes.
And so they learn how to overcome themselves.
Cool. Yes.
And that is what the crux of the curriculum that we work with every week is. It's like, okay, in golf, you're not going to hit a lot of good shots.
There's more failure than success, at least on my end.
And so how do you keep cool? How do you grow? How do you get better? Right? How do you bring people along with you? That's what you learn. The golf is obviously important, but it's the hook to get to teach these kids this character education that they need.
This is beautiful. Perry, how did you get involved? You're the executive director now. Congratulations. How long ago did that happen?
So that actually just happened in March here. I was actually up in Wisconsin at the Green Bay chapter for 5 years as the executive director there. But prior to, as Jim alluded to, I was the program director down here right out of college. Actually got my start down here in New Orleans at Tulane University, and their wonderful public service program actually brought me to First Tee, being a golfer, and really having that service-minded aspect to the whole Tulane curriculum. Got me exposed to all the great work that First Tee was doing here in New Orleans, and it's been a love ever since. And I continue to see the program grow and the kids affected, and there's no place more deserving of a program like this than New Orleans, and really the differences that can be made through bringing kids together on a golf course.
You know, I love New Orleans. We love people to love us, right? And I love when people, you both aren't from here. You came 15 years ago. We talked about that last time. I want your background. You came to Tulane. And where were you from, and why did you decide to come to Tulane, and why did you decide to stay in New Orleans?
Yeah, it's a funny story. I was actually from Connecticut, and
right.
Actually, I kind of joke to people, no one's actually from Connecticut. It's just a place you live. And I really actually struggled with that sense of home for the longest time. If I went back to my hometown today, I wouldn't recognize anyone.
Really?
And when I came to New Orleans and I stepped off that plane, I immediately felt that sense of community.
When you were visiting Tulane, you talking about? Oh, wow.
When I was visiting
I've
Tulane.
heard this a lot. It's weird. I met somebody in the airport the other day. Their child was a freshman, and they were there, and they said the same thing. We visited a bunch of schools. We got there, and we knew this was the place.
And ever since, New Orleans is home to me. Even while I was up in Wisconsin, I knew New Orleans was calling me to come back, and it is truly a place that I have in my heart. And if people ask me where I'm from or where home is today, it's always been New Orleans, and it has become my hometown.
By the way, I love Wisconsin too.
Yes.
In fact, when I was an agent, that was probably my second state that I did most of my stuff in. I've been at least 100 times. Mostly Madison, but I've been up to Appleton. One of my big clients was from Appleton, right next to Green Bay. And I love the people there. They're the closest to New Orleanians. I'm telling you, they love you to come there and enjoy yourself and have a great time. And I tell people this all the time. Wisconsin football, I do games all across the country. I've been to every single stadium, literally Power 5 in the country. They're the closest to the SEC. They get crazy. It's not Ohio State. It's not Michigan. I've done many games there. Wisconsin people go off the rails, and they love it. They might not be as great as Michigan and Ohio State. We know that, but their fans are.
Absolutely. And really an underrated golf climate out there, too. Some of the golf courses they have up there, Whistling Straits, Erin Hills, or whatnot, it really truly is if people haven't been up there to check out some of those courses.
Now, your golf game. Like, where is it right now?
I am currently sitting at a 9 handicap.
Look at you, man.
So,
Congrats.
yeah, my golf game is good. Now, I have a little bit of an advantage. I work with a guy who's trying to make the Champions Tour, so we get out for a lot of practice. And
when did you pick up the game?
I didn't pick up the game till 30. Like, I came here, I moved to New Orleans.
Last year.
Last year, right? I moved to New Orleans. I went out with some clients. I was working in the radio business, which we talked about before.
Yeah, right.
And they were like, well, let's go play at Lakewood. And I'm like, I don't play golf, guys. Well, we never got the client. I immediately went to my computer the next day. I'm like, how to play golf?
Right.
Literally
right,
on Google in 2008, and I was like, well, lessons are too expensive. I bought a cheap set of Wilson clubs for like $100, and some guys that I had moved here with, some employees, were like, well, let's go play. And for some reason, I just fell in love with the game. I'm like, how have I not been playing this my entire life? And in the last 15 years, golf has given me more than anything else in my life.
You're inspiring me to get back into it,
I've been
man.
incredibly lucky.
I was a golf fiend up until I had my first shot at 30, and I was playing a lot. And then I realized, I had 3 in a row, and I'm like, I got to spend time with these kids because I'm on the road so much already doing games and stuff. So I gave it up, And I'm really, now that I'm in empty nest, I'm really ready to get back into it. You're inspiring me, man. I mean, the way you're talking about it, I'm remembering my juices are flowing back from 25, 30 years ago.
One of the things I love about golf is that it's one of the few places, I think especially for busy people, right, and executives. And when I picked it up, I was an executive.
Right.
It's one of the places where you get quiet, right? You're so focused on what's happening while you're out there that the rest of the world goes away for a minute, and that becomes relaxing, right? And that's one of the things that I loved about the game. The feeling that you get when you hit a good shot, and I talk to kids about this all the time, is that you ask kids, like, how many of you feel bad when you hit a bad shot? And they raise their hands immediately. We all hit bad shots. But then how do you feel when you hit a good shot? And,
that's the best feeling in the world,
the
man.
smile that they get on their face, the goosebumps
I love this picture
I get, it's amazing to see them and see the light turn on, and then you immediately ask yourself, like, well, how am I not doing this every time?
Right.
And then so you're chasing that dragon the whole time, which is just cool.
Like Buddy Hield in the Dragon Meat, right?
Yeah, we can't talk about that.
But the crazy thing is that it's so true. Like I can think of so many times when I was getting going playing in college and stuff, and I was terrible for 16, 17 holes, and man, those last 2 drives were almost perfect. I'm like, I'm the best golfer in the world.
Yep.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I'm like, why can't I do this every time? I want to get your background in golf. When did you start, and when did you fall in love with the sport? And you obviously play regularly, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So 9 years old, actually, I remember my uncle
of course, you're from Connecticut.
Yeah, from Connecticut. But actually, my first golf experience was in Ohio. My uncle took me out, and I remember playing with an old set of Persimmons woods, so the real woods there.
Real deal, right.
Oh yeah, and butter knife irons, and I don't know how I played so well that first day, but I fell in love with the game. I was a baseball player by trade, and actually up until high school, when I tore my rotator cuff my senior year, I had been thinking about playing college baseball, and really baseball was on the mind every day. And once I realized that was no longer going to happen with the torn rotator cuff, I had to find another sport, and started working at golf courses. Worked at TPC Louisiana when I was in college.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It was exposed to the PGA Tour event out there, which Zurich Classic there, and the 4Kids Foundation, another
so fabulous, isn't it?
Oh, fantastic.
It's my favorite time of year.
Yes.
They do such a great job at that golf tournament. I love it.
They do, and they are extreme supporters of ours. Without the 4Kids Foundation, we would not be able to make the
talk about that, because they do such a special job. Tell about the affiliation y'all have. I know I saw you out there in your pink shirt last year, whatever color y'all wear. Y'all change it up every time. But tell us about the affiliation with 4Kids, because I think that's very interesting.
Yeah, 4Kids, obviously, they put on the Zurich Classic
every year. That's F-O-R-E, for everybody that doesn't know what that means.
Yes. I've said it quite a few times on a golf course.
Yes.
And yes, so the 4Kids Foundation puts on the Zurich Classic every year, which is one of the 42 PGA Tour events throughout the PGA Tour season. It's the only 2-man team event, which is fantastic. And what a lot of people don't realize is the economic impact it makes on local charities like ourselves. Over $2.2 million raised for local charities.
That's fabulous.
And being one of their signature charities, a significant portion of our operating budget comes from the PGA Tour event and the impact it makes. So 4Kids really does help us help.
Okay, speaking of the impact, I want to talk about the ladies in a second, but Jim, I want you to reiterate October 10th and what it means and how people.
So the First Tee Golf Classic, which I think is, what are we in, our 16th, 17th?
18th
year.
Yeah.
Presented by Walmart.
Presented by Walmart.
Saturday, October 10th.
It's our biggest fundraiser, right? And to give you kind of perspective on what this means for us in particular.
Oh, it's October 7th or 10th?
10th. It's a Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday.
October 10th.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
So that's the Tuesday, and the ladies' thing's a Tuesday.
Tuesday, yep.
So it's Tuesday.
It's a Tuesday, October 10th.
I apologize.
But just to think, like, so if a program session for us, and understand, about half our kids don't pay for our program, essentially, right? But even the kids that do pay, you might pay $100 for 10 weeks, which for youth sports is nothing.
Yeah.
Now, what happens a lot of times is, okay, you pay $100, but it costs us $800 to pay for coaches, to pay for background checks, to pay for equipment, to get access to golf courses, to do all these things. So with every kid that comes through our program, we're always having to fundraise to continue to do this work out at golf courses and out in the community with every kid that we have coming through our program. So the money that we get from this golf tournament goes directly back in to making sure that we can reach more kids in New Orleans.
Okay, cool. Now I want to talk about the ladies event, which is also Tuesday, Election Day, the first Tuesday of November, which Election Day usually is, always is. So talk about what that's all about.
Yes, so for those of you who aren't familiar with the Fidelity Power Initiative, powering women entrepreneur here in the city, this has become our signature ladies event. We're able to celebrate all of our female participants.
Wow.
Yep, there's the Fidelity Power there.
Okay.
They're doing some really fantastic work, and they're extreme supporters of ours here. But we get to actually bring out our female participants to play with 3 ladies in this event. And this year we've actually transformed it into a more comprehensive event where ladies who may not have the golf skill to go play 18 holes, or have maybe even not picked up a club before, to be able to give them an opportunity to be exposed to the game, exposed to the female participants who are going through this. So it'll start off with a networking luncheon where we'll have a keynote speaker, and then after that we'll actually be doing a golf clinic, which will be brought to you by our first tee coaches here, and hopefully some of our local universities golfers. And the ladies will be able to learn some of the fundamentals of the game, and really see that it can be fun, and that barrier of entry really doesn't have to be as extreme as they think it is. And then there'll also be a scramble after that.
Your enthusiasm is infectious, both of you. I mean, really, I'm getting excited about it. I know people watching at home are as well.
Well, and I was going to say, what's amazing about an event like the ladies program and the ladies event is that if you can just get a club in somebody's hand, you just never know that you love the game until you pick up a club and hit a ball, right? And what's tough about our game, because I think we've done a poor job sometimes, is just getting people to try it out, right? There's a perception it's not for me, it's too difficult.
How do you do that?
I think a lot of it is just creating access points, right? Something like this that is easy.
People are scared. They're apprehensive because they think they're going to be terrible at it and they're not going to like it. But once you get that thing in your hand, speaking of infectious, it is contagious, man.
Well, and knowledge goes a long way, right? Yeah. Knowledge about the game, knowledge about what you need to do to actually play, being with people who are welcoming and open to you being there, right? All those little things for women, for kids, even for grown-ups, that makes a massive difference, right? And a lot of what the First Tee tries to do is just create these access points for people and for kids to just start learning the game, because the game can give them a lot.
That's beautiful. Any parting words before we go? Because I have some gifts for you guys as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We're always looking for supporters here of the program. We have 13 board members and a bunch of advisory committee members across the city that do fantastic work for us. So anyone looking to get involved, there are many different avenues in which you can get engaged with the program.
Yeah, tell them.
Yep. So to be a board member, we have monthly meetings here where we're focused primarily on how do we not only sustain the organization but grow it to the future. I mentioned we had 7 parishes. We're probably only saturated in about 3 of them right now, so we have some expansion and some goals for our organization for growth in years to come, and we need the community's support. So we're always recruiting board members, advisory committee members, but also volunteering out there, whether it's working with the youth, coming to help out with one of our events. So we'll be looking for volunteers for both this event on October 10th and the ladies event on November 7th. And then at the Zurich Classic every year, you'll see us out there at the kids zone there, and always looking for volunteers to be able to help spread the word of our organization.
Right.
And if you know any kids who would be interested in getting involved, again, as Jim said, we're here to knock down barriers. There should be no barriers of entry, whether it's cost, transportation. We just actually, thanks to the Gia Malone Foundation, we actually received a van this year, so we're able to transport kids across the city to the golf course locations. So again,
that's great. That's great. I mean, you listen, and I'm gonna promote this again next Tuesday on the show because I think it's a big deal, and it's the following. So it's 2 weeks from today.
Correct.
And if you're watching on Friday, it's a week and a half from today.
Yep.
But today is the day. Thank you guys for everything you do, man.
Appreciate
Jim,
it,
so
Scott.
good to see you
Good to
again.
see you.
Thank
I
you so
love
much. Appreciate
stuff like this, and I'm very appreciative. And I know I speak for everybody at WLAE. Thank you. And here's some gifts. We already gave Doug Mouton the Mr. John Steakhouse, but we got just as good. My man Evan Hayes owns Delachey's and Shays Delachey's. You can use this at either one. And of course, Task Performance. This little guy's for you. And this me and Perry wear the same size.
That's right.
And that's for you.
Thank you,
guys
sir. Appreciate
so much.
it. Thank you.
And I want to thank them, First Tee of Greater New Orleans. Get out to that event. It's going to be fun. Support them. If you can volunteer, that'd be fantastic too. It's all for a great cause. Hey, I also want to thank Doug Mouton for filling us in. Hey, by the way, did you know the Pels in college basketball are coming around the corner? Well, next week I'm going to have Ron Hunter the head coach of Tulane basketball, and my man Mark Schlesinger's coming as well. And also we're going to have a couple people talking about art for art's sake. And I love this event. That's a big deal. That is on Saturday, that would be October 3rd, I guess. What's the Saturday coming up? October 3rd, I guess. Yeah, that's why I was getting those 2 days mixed up. Art for Art's Sake's a big deal. That's always on Magazine Street, and Julia will talk more about that next week. But get involved. Let's get this stuff in New Orleans. I want to thank everybody here. I'm very thankful for the guys that run the station. Jim Dotson, Ron Yeager, they do a fabulous job with all the documentaries and our safe. And is it Jim's birthday? Jim Dotson, happy birthday, my man. And my man Will, we couldn't do it without Will Hill in the back. And of course, Danielle. And of course, Danielle Wick. I couldn't remember it last week. Danielle Wick, and of course, Logan Graffia and Alex Chacon. Hey, see you next week right here on Primetime Sports.